Wild Talents by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 25a. If I can bridge a gap, then that, in a moment of religious excitation, an inhabitant of Remiremont, focusing upon a point in the sky, transferred a pictorial representation from his mind to hailstones. The turning of Coventry Street, streets in Japan, Kiel, Berlin, New York City, other places, and that wounds, as imagined by haters of people, have appeared upon the bodies of people. Or the story of the sailor aboard the steamship Breach in December 1931, and that it was during a storm, and that in the mind of somebody else aboard this vessel a hate pictured this man as struck by lightning, and that upon his head appeared a wound as pictured. The gap, or the supposed gap, is the difference, or the supposed absolute difference, between the imagined and the physical. Or, for instance, the disappearance of Ambrose Small of Toronto, and it was just about what his secretary, who had embezzled from him, probably wished for, probably unaware that an inventory would betray him. A picturization, in the secretary's mind, of his employer, shooting away to Patagonia, to Franz Joseph Land, or to the moon, so far away that he could never get back. But could the imagined realize? Or why didn't I keep track, in the newspapers of December 1919, for mention of the body of a man, washed up on the beach of Java, scarcely decipherable papers in his pockets indicating that the man was a Canadian? Are the so-called asteroids bodies of people who have been witched away into outer space? Rose Smith, that when she was released from prison, her visualizations crept up behind her former employer and killed him. According to some viewpoints, I might as well try to think of a villain in a moving picture, suddenly jumping from the screen and attacking people in the audience. I haven't tried that yet. Case of Emma Piggott, and the fires in the home of her employers were just about what the girl, alarmed by the greediness of her thefts, may have wished for. Also there are data that may mean that, because of experiences unknown to anybody else, this girl knew that, from a distance, she could start fires. There is an appearance of affinity between the Piggott case and the fires in the house in Bedford. There was a sulfur fire that was ordinary. It was followed by a series of fires that were, at least according to the impressions in Bedford, extraordinary. In no terms of physics, nor of chemistry, was an explanation possible, yet investigators felt that a relationship of some kind did exist. The relationship may have existed in the mind of Anne Fenimore. After the sulfur fire had been put out, she may have started fearing fires, especially in the absence of the only male member of the household. Her fear may have been realized. Story of the Colwell girl. Here, too, fires in the house seem to have related to a girl's mental state, or that the fires were related to her desire to move to another house. Having the not uncommon experience of learning how persuasive are police captains, she listened to advice, and confessed to effects, in terms of ordinary incendiarism, though, according to reports by firemen and policemen, some of the fires could not have been produced by flipping lighted matches. In the case of Jenny Bramwell, there is no knowing what were the feelings of this girl, who had been adopted, probably to do hard farm work. If she, too, had not simply the fire-inducing power, which manifested under the influence of desire, or emotion, I think of her, in the midst of drudgery, wishing destruction upon the property of her exploiters, and fires following. At any rate, the story of the little Barnes girl, which quite equals anything from the annals of demonology, is very suggestive, or the smoulder of hate in the mind of a child, for an exploiter, and flames leapt upon a woman,